Hey everybody, and welcome to a new video where we're talking about the volume profile, and specifically we're talking about chart layouts. Now in this video, I just want to walk you through my volume profiling chart layout for 2021. It's very important in your trading, just like in every other business, that we spend time making improvements and making iterations and keeping things fresh, looking for ways to improve upon the process and refine what we're already doing. Now, as a very important distinction, when I say constantly make improvements and iterations to keep things fresh, I am in no way referring to changing your method or to changing your actual approach. I'm just talking about making small improvements and small iterations to keep refining, to keep improving on what you're doing as a core, as the structure and the foundation of your trading business, your method, your process, whatever that is, not changing that, but making improvements and making upgrades to it. And so in this video, I just want to walk through some of those changes that I've made somewhat recently and the volume profile layout that I'm using for 2021. Let's go ahead, I'll pull up the charts and we'll jump right into it. Okay, jumping right into the charts, the biggest change and the first thing that I want to drill into is the actual layout. Going back not all that long ago, I used to use a 4-chart layout on each one of my chart book definitions. And of all the charts you're looking at right now, there was only 2 that were on the one that I've used previously. So I have this 15-minute chart down here in the corner, as well as this noisy chart up in here. These 2 were on the original. My last iteration, none of these other charts were on here. Okay, so I used to have this noisy trigger chart. I would have a 15-minute chart. I would also have a 30-minute as well as a daily. Now the 30-minute is no longer visible. It's on a different chart book definition. I reference it throughout the day. And my daily time frame is still here, even though it is minimized almost the entire session. If I ever pull it up intraday, it's because the market has gone absolutely nuts. But it is important to my analysis, so it's there, it's quickly accessible, but it's not something that I keep up. When the day is going on, it's minimized, it's out of the way. Now, the way I used to have this laid out was 4 charts, each taking up equal spot. So it'd be 25, 25, 25, 25, each of them having their own corner. And then as the day progressed, what I would do after all my analysis was done, at least pre-market, is I would pull down and make my trigger chart and my 15-minute chart bigger. And so this chart and this chart were up in my corners. I would pull those down, and those 2 charts were really the only thing I would look at. I had other monitors set up where I would execute my orders and interact, but as far as watching it throughout the day, I just had those 2 charts. Now, going back a little while ago, and a big shout out to Merritt Black, but I saw the way he had one of his charts laid out, and it just got me thinking and gave me a little inspiration to use my retail space here a little bit better and to fit more on the chart so I didn't have to look around as much. After making some adjustments and changes, this is what we have now. So there's quite a few charts here, and let me just walk through what each of them are and what I'm using it for. So in the top left-hand corner, this is my trigger chart. I've always had one of these. This is a very noisy chart, and this isn't a good chart to just zoom in on and to get caught up in all the noise that's happening here. But what I do is when I've done my analysis and when I have a trade idea that's surfacing, being able to use a noisy chart like this to drill in and really help refine the entry, as well as help manage the position, much better than you can do from a 15, a 30-minute, or any time frame higher than that. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, I have posted a video where I talk about the best time frames specifically for volume profiling. I'll link that, or I'll make sure that's somewhere available to you. You can go check that out, and I kind of walk through that process a little bit more detailed. But this is an important chart to my trading, even though it's not the best thing to just zoom in and focus on all day long. It'll be easy to get caught up in the noise if you do that. Okay, now in the bottom right-hand corner, kind of equal size, I have a depth of market tool. This tool is built upon the book map style, that heat map style order flow tool. This is a custom chart book that was made by Ticino Trader. I have a Sierra tips and tricks video which I've made where I gave him a big shout out. Of all the charts you're looking at here, 2 of these have come directly from him. I've made quite a few adjustments and changes, but the skeleton is something that he created. He's fantastic. He does amazing work. Nothing but good things to say, so a big shout out to him anytime I reference my Sierra charts, basically. But you guys can check him out if you're interested. He's easy to find. Now, these 2 charts that I have here, specifically this order flow tool, This is also where I'll place my trades and manage my positions. So as I'm analyzing what's happening, as something sets up, I'll drill in here. This is where I'm actually pushing the button and getting in, as well as setting stops, as well as taking profit. All of that is going to happen right in here on this tool. Now, the way that I have this laid out, my trigger chart up here and my depth of market tool, these are the two most granular views that I have. These are very noisy charts. And for that reason, I have it spread out in a way where they're taking up the most screen space. And if I had my trigger chart or this order flow trying to fit into one of these narrow ranges here, it would be so noisy and you wouldn't even be able to see what is going on. So I have those spread out, taking up the majority of the screen because it's the most granular and they need the most space to really see what's happening there. Okay, in the top right-hand corner, I have a footprint style tool. This is the second one that comes from Ticino Trader as well, that he has built out for Sierra. It's very, very nice. Now, there's just a couple specific ways I'm using this tool here and the information that we see from the footprint. Specifically, if I'm in a trade looking at potentially taking that off, there's a couple things I'll look for to see if I need to be holding that a little longer or to see if we're done. It helps me give some insights there, as well as when I'm looking to put on a trade. There's a few things that would keep me out of entering, as well as give me more confidence on entering, depending on how it's shaping up. So one of those things, for instance, if you're familiar with the tool, is the unfinished tops and bottoms in specific sequences and having a certain amount of those line up. Very important to me. We can see there's an unfinished top right here. One-off things don't necessarily matter as much, but there's a couple specific things I look for on this tool. It's become very helpful to me, so I keep it on this main chart layout here in the top right-hand corner. And then in the bottom left-hand corner, I have two charts. This one is a 15-minute. The 15-minute is just a beautiful chart. It really allows me to pull back from most of the zoomed-in view that I have throughout the day to kind of separate the noise out and just get a view of what's actually happening. I get lost a lot as the day goes on, and by switching my focus over to a 15-minute chart, it really helps me just not lose sight of what the actual story is here. And to keep the narrative of the market going for me. So the 15 minutes is very important. It's also the chart where I'll draw my micro composites mostly on. I draw micro composites on this chart as well, but this is my main go-to micro composite chart as well. Now, the last chart that I have up here, at least with bars or any type of graph like that, is going to be a 3-minute chart. There's one other specific thing about this that I'll reference in a moment. But this I find just a nice way to view the market. I like the way, personal preference-wise, that it displays data in 3-minute chunks. And then I also use this for 24-hour data. I'll explain that in just a moment as well. All right, so there's one other kind of chart down here at the very bottom. This is right in line with our footprint style tool up in here. It's just taking out a couple pieces of those, and it's a much higher time frame than we see in the top right-hand corner, but it's the same exact information, just displayed differently. Okay, so that's the layout of how I have this going on. Now, my trigger chart is set up to be extremely noisy, as I've said probably several times. And all of my key levels or anything that's of interest to me that I want to be aware of is usually marked up and put onto this chart. So it ends up, especially at specific times, having a lot of stuff drawn on it, fairly noisy. Now, I have all my other charts set up where I can copy over that same exact information with just a click of a button. But typically, I want to keep all my other charts as clean as possible and just have all of that dumped onto my one drilled in and kind of keep this one chart pretty noisy. And it allows me to keep everything else a little bit more clean and not get caught up in things. Okay, so that was a lot to cover there, but there have been just a lot of changes compared to the 4 layout that I was using a while ago. The second change that I've made is to the micro composites as well as my composite charts. Okay, so if we're looking at the micro composites that I have drawn here, this is encompassing a few days. I used to have my micro composites and my composites look exactly like my intraday charts. So my intraday charts have the gray body as well as the lighter blue outside value area and the separations there. What I've done with my micro composites and my composites is I've given them that heat map style layout. Okay, so instead of specifically separating out value and not value, and instead of keeping the colors the same, whether it's a high or low volume area, what this does is just color code the amount of volume we're seeing. So higher amounts of volume receive a different color grade, and then as the volume narrows down, it lowers it and deepens the intensity on that red. okay? It doesn't specifically separate the value area, what's not value area. And so to combat that, what I've done is I've outlined the value area, high and low only, with this dark line that's very thick. So this will be value area high, value area low, and I need that information. That information is very important to me, and so I deepened those, made that very thick, made that very dark, so I always know with all the colors that are going on, specifically where value area high, value area low is, and then the point of control stays the same color as well. All right, so this is a subtle change, just preferential, nothing really impactful about this, but I think it gave it that little boost of color and just wow that my charts were lacking back when all my composites were exactly the same color. Okay, the third change that I've made that's been pretty big is I've added a 24-hour time view. So that's what happens on this 3-minute chart. This is not just a one session, this is the entire 24 hours. Up until I've added this on my chart, I would have charts specifically that would take care of the overnight session. I would have charts specifically for regular trading hours, but I didn't really have a mix. And of all the charts that you see here, all of these do just the regular trading hours, except for this one 3-minute chart over here. This will bring in a full 24 hours, okay? So I've been messing around with some things originally. I found some of this to be extremely helpful. And then even moving forward, as the overnight session that separates out from what would be the regular trading hours, as that has been picking up in volume and picking up in popularity, very slowly, but from the time I started trading, it has a ton more range, a ton more volume than it used to. And the more that picks up, the more this information becomes important of what's happening in the full 24-hour view. So I have one chart that I do that. I have some specific things I'll draw on there, depending on if we get range bound or not. And more so, I like the look of this as well. But it gives me a nice way to pull in that 24-hour data. It's the only chart that I use that on. Okay, so that's my chart layout that I'm using for 2021 and kind of a brief overview of how I'm using each one of these charts. I think from maybe an outside perspective, I don't know how you feel when you see this layout. I think in some cases it might be extremely noisy or it might seem like it's very complicated, but it's really not. All of these are broken down just to specific pieces of information that I need or that I want handy. And I want to be able to access very quickly, so it's all right here. And throughout the years, I've made so many adjustments and iterations to my charting layout. And each time I make an adjustment, each time I change it around, it becomes more intuitive, it becomes more tailored for me, it becomes more effective, more efficient, and it keeps upgrading. And in a lot of truth, there's an edge, a real source of edge in your charting layout. And this should be something that you customize for you and that you make sure if there's a piece of information that you need, that it's quickly accessible, that it's laid out in a way that's the best suited for you. We all have like these little canvases that we get to customize and we get to set up exactly how we want. And I hope that this video, if nothing else, encourages you to take the time and to put in some effort to really making this your own. Over the years, I've spent a lot of time customizing out my chart layout. Not specifically just like sitting down for one time for like a week, putting in 40 hours working on it, but a few hours here, a few hours there, taking in extra things, realizing I don't need them on my charts, realizing I want to add things on my charts, seeing another person's charts that gives me some inspiration, and then through all that, just constantly making some changes, making some tweaks. And again, I don't know what you think or how you feel when you see my chart layout, but to me, this is a thing of beauty. And I know that this is the process of years of trading to get this customized exactly how I want it. This isn't something that was just thrown together. For me, it's very intelligently outlined, it's very intelligently designed, and it's beautiful to me, and it's exactly how I want it. So more than trying to recreate this, that's not the point of this video. It probably won't do you that much good, but to take some inspiration from this, hopefully, and to be able to go out there to take what you're doing and to rethink it, to hopefully maybe revitalize it, to add some things in, to take some things off, to change how you have it set up, all for the effort of just customizing your chart layout to make it the best for you. It's very important, and it's not going to be something you just do once. Do it and constantly be looking for little things that you can do to improve upon it or to help refine it. But obviously, don't make customizations. Do not add things on. Don't make it complicated just for the sake of making it complicated. Every piece of information, every chart, every setting that I have is something that's useful. It's something that I need while I'm trading throughout the day. And if it didn't serve a purpose, it would not be on my chart just for some kind of a vanity metric of looking nice or falling into the trap of thinking if there's more and if something's more complicated, somehow it has to be better. Those kind of things don't really translate well to trading. Okay, that was a really long outro to this video, so let's just go ahead and wrap this one up. I hope this video provided you with some inspiration. You can let me know what you thought down in the comments and chat with me. Let's all hit the like button on the way out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if for some reason that you haven't. Be well if you're on the screens between now and the next time I see you. I wish you very happy trading. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.